Hello and welcome back to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast.
Jeez.
My name is Ethan, and I'm going to be your co-host tonight alongside of Josh. Ryan is stuck at a work event, so like last week, probably dead. Uh, still from that. So, but we're here, Josh, and that's all that
Yes.
matters.
And we are here, probably the most important week in fantasy to date. And
Oh
yeah,
yes, it
this
is.
is,
It is playoff season.
yeah, it's playoff season from here for a lot of people. This
Playoffs are
is,
coming.
yep, playoffs are absolutely coming. Or for some people, they still do the 2 week thing, then you are into round one. But regardless,
Or if you're sick, Ryan, your playoffs start in 2 weeks.
I have one where it starts in 2 weeks. And I'm still not
Sick,
over it. Yeah, sick to my
sick,
stomach. Sick to my
sick
stomach.
human being.
Yeah. Because I don't even know if because they probably I bet you the NFL soon when they're like, okay, only one team gets to buy. They're like, cool, we're gonna get more teams to play their starters in the last week of the year. And I think it's been the exact opposite. Because a lot of teams
Yeah.
that go, oh, I made the playoffs, deuces.
All right,
And
time to rest up.
yeah, exactly. And so it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
Should have
I
known
don't know
better.
what do you think they need to do to incentivize playing their starters that last week?
I mean, I think personally the problem is just I guess think of it from this perspective, right? It's a long year. One injury can change the complete dynamics of your team. And it's no matter what they do, there's no way that the risk will ever outweigh the reward.
Well, let me raise you this. I think this year's going to be different because look how close a lot of the teams
Yeah.
are.
Well,
So
a
I
lot
think
of the
you'll see a
teams
lot of
are.
people playing all their starters for the
And
last
I
week
think
this
what the NFL sneakily did was do a bunch of division games last game of the year. So you have no choice but to
yeah.
play everybody. So, like,
Yeah,
for
like I think it's like
example,
Falcons Tampa last week of
yeah,
the season.
and it's Ravens Bengals week 18. So
Oh
it's,
God.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a barn burner.
exactly. So I think
That's smart.
that's how they like fix it. But unless you're the Chiefs who might clinch the division this week,
Yeah.
which is insane considering the amount of
I
money
know
that
those
has
Raiders are
gone.
coming.
Hey, they're finally. It just took some time. It took a lot of time,
Yeah,
but
they're finally doing the thing
yeah, they're
that they
finally
should have
doing
been
the
doing.
thing, which also makes me excited to see what happens next year for them. But never mind next year. We're going to talk about this week
Well, wait,
specifically.
wait. Before we get to that, can we bring it up?
Yeah, bring it up. Bring it. I know exactly what you're going to do. Bring it up.
We're on Ritter Watch,
We are
Josh.
on Ritter
We are on
Watch.
Ritter Watch. We've been waiting all season.
Yeah.
14 long for me, long weeks, and
And
we finally made it.
we finally made it. Ethan, where did you get the article from that said that they were in the deep discussions of it?
Dudes, there are so many. I mean, the one I sent you was directly from the Falcons app. So the
Oh,
Atlanta Falcons
okay.
have their own app for like articles and media,
Yeah,
like
so
local Georgia news outlets.
100% Ritter starts next week. To me, there's
Yeah,
no doubt in my mind anymore. And the thing is, I did say after the bye week, even though I didn't like it,
you did.
but the reason why is because it gives them 2 weeks to prepare. It's like, okay, we have our rookie quarterback. All right, now we bring them in. So it's a lot easier to do it post bye week.
Dude, I'm gonna
But
lose my mind in 2 weeks when they play their first game with Ritter.
yeah, which I mean,
Even if he sucks, I'm gonna be here for him.
well, let's look at it. Their first game post bye is New Orleans. So that's going to be trial
Oh,
by fire.
a rivalry for the division.
Yeah. And
First game. Welcome to the league, Des.
yeah, and we know for a fact it's not confirmed and we understand that, but when you already are getting, oh, we're going to finally talk about the personnel in week 14, that just means the plan was to always switch them at the bye
Oh,
week.
100%. Like they're trying to be
Yeah.
slick. Like, oh, because of what's happened, we're gonna have internal. No,
No.
they knew. They knew.
Yeah, they absolutely knew.
Like
It's
the only
gives
thing I would say the only thing keeping it from happening earlier was a Mariota injury.
yes, yeah, and yeah, totally agree with you there. I think it's going to be interesting because if he goes 3-0, for example, and they're winning because of him, then that means it's like, ooh, then I can use the number 8 pick in the draft for someone else if Ritter's the guy. And then I think what
Well, look at all the offensive talent that's in this draft. I mean,
well
all of these wide receivers that are going to be available because of the probably the run at QB.
and
All
one
of
of the
these.
yeah, and there's two defensive freaks in this class, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. I would almost be shocked if they did not go
Well, Will
top
Anderson will
five.
probably go, yeah, in the top five.
Yeah. So, but then you probably have CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, top three, top
Yeah.
two. Will
Well, yeah,
Levis is
it's
in that
those two QBs and
category,
then Will Anderson right
and
after that.
Anthony Richardson from Florida too.
Yeah.
And he's the one I'm most excited about because that's the one I go, okay, this gets very interesting if he gets into the right situation.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, I'm not drafting Bryce Young.
Here's my funny feeling is that Bryce Young is the third quarterback taken.
Okay.
And it's
Well,
because
because
I
it's going to be Houston and they'll probably go
and then
CJ.
it's Detroit. Detroit is the number 2 at the moment because of the
Dude, I think
Rams pick.
I think Detroit goes like Will Anderson.
So I thought about that.
Oh God, can you imagine Will Anderson
Will Anderson on
and
that
Aiden
defense,
Hutchinson?
that's disgusting. Like that's
Oh,
the stuff of nightmares, right? And then you have Aleem McNeil and Levi Amuzurike in the
yep,
middle.
yep.
And then
Well, and
like
then they can get a wide receiver later because they're still in the top 15 for their
yeah,
second pick, I think.
exactly. So that's what makes things very interesting. So a team
Yeah,
like
the
very
lines can
wide
come out of nowhere.
the line's really good. Well, I don't even know if they'll need receiver because they have JMO and then they'll have Sun God. You have your
We haven't
running
seen
backs.
JMO. We have not seen
Yeah,
JMO.
he's been playing. He played Gunner last week, but the only reason I say don't, I wouldn't be surprised at quarterback is because they see Goff can produce in this offense.
Right.
I can see them drafting Will Levis with because of the tools and making him sit a year.
That's fair. That's
I,
fair.
I I'm not going to
I
say
don't know.
that's what's going to
I'm so
happen.
ready for
I
the
think it's
off season.
possible. Yeah, the
I'm
offseason is
ready
going
for
to be
off season
insane.
content.
Yeah, and as a Ravens fan, I am not ready for the offseason because it's going to be anxiety on 1,000. But
Well, it's just gonna be. Did they sign Lamar yet? While all the
yeah,
Ravens fans cry,
yeah, pretty much. It's been really bad, dude.
and then he's gonna go to Atlanta.
It's legit. No, he's not. Stop it. It's legitimately. I think it's been the worst I've ever seen it. And I mean, for the people just like yelling and cursing at Greg Roman outside, which I think is completely messed up. And then on top of that, like people just tagging players on like in tweets or anything like that. Like it's just a giant cesspool of polarization.
Yeah.
But hopefully that gets fixed very soon. And man, so we got this is probably our most important dream lineup of the
Yeah.
year. And we're actually going to do something different with Bus Sleeper and Log that I'm kind of excited about as well, because I'll just give the anecdote beforehand. I could have made the playoffs last year. Now, was I beating Paul or Ryan or anyone or Ethan for
Or
that
me.
matter last year in the playoffs? Probably not. My team was ragtag, tag you're it, all the kind of labels that you can put on my team. It was not good.
Yeah, and then you pass it off to me.
Yeah, pretty much. But what did happen though, and I realized I could have made playoffs regardless had I picked had I actually put Rashad Penny in my lineups because he was a waiver wire pickup for me.
Yeah.
Never had the guts to start him, and this is when
Even
Rashad
though
Penny just went
if you
off.
remember, I told you to play him
You did,
multiple
and
times,
it was
multiple weeks in a row.
and literally your point was, what do you have to lose by starting him? And I still chickened out and I missed playoffs. So I
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's
you know what? the same advice I gave to Ryan was in week 15 when Dalvin Cook was coming back from injury, and I told him, Ryan, I'm starting Dalvin Cook in our ESPN league. It's win or go home. What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got it. And then we
Yeah.
have the greatest
So
story that we tell every week on the
or
podcast, and we'll continue
we will
to tell
continue
every
to
week on the
shout from the rooftops. But it's literally like we can overthink it so much, but that's when you have to go back to, all right, what do I know to be true? And then act on that. And so
But
for
yeah,
me,
what's the matchup? Like, what's my gut feeling? Because everyone's gut feeling is, I should put this guy in, and then you don't. I just do it. What do you have to lose? Playoffs are next week.
exactly. And we're in win or go home. Like there is no other way around it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into these lineups real quick, and then actually let me start with Ryan since he's not here. At quarterback, he goes Jared Goff going up against Minnesota.
I can't believe
I like it though
he's
because
been texting us all week about this, and we've all been going back and forth, and I just don't buy it.
I the reason why I buy it, it's a home game. Minnesota's pass defense not the greatest. They're very opportunistic, however. I think this is a situation where you can see him get 1 to 2 picks, but he can probably move the ball and chunk it down the field. Goff is not the person I went with. I actually went with a different option just for this week, though.
Yeah, I did a different option just for
Yeah.
this week as well.
And who is actually your option then?
I went Jalen Hurts against the Giants.
So Hurts. All right, I honestly thought about Hurts, and I was like, divisional matchup. I don't know how I feel about it.
I just did it for the divisional matchup. I think it's going to be competitive.
Yeah, I went with Geno Smith going up against Carolina. I think he's going to have to shoulder a lot of the load. They may not run the ball as much. And I
That's why I
think,
put DK in my lineup for this week, though. Like, oh, a little spoiler, whatever. I like that matchup.
no, I really do like that matchup as well. At running back, who's your RB1?
Eckes, my boy. I
Nice.
can't turn
Nice.
away from him.
Nice. Honestly, I thought about it. I think this Chargers team is going to have some problems going up against
Oh
Miami.
yeah. Oh, they're gonna get ran over.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. So I went away from Eccles, but I went with Tony Pollard as my first person, and Ryan has Pollard on here as well. You're going up against Houston. Need we say more?
Yeah.
And then Ryan's second running back is CMC against Tampa.
Ooh.
I like the pick because I do think they have to. However,
He'll get passing work for
he'll
sure.
get passing work. I'm interested to see how Debo's used here because I think we get more Shanahanigans and we're going to see Debo and CMC in wide back positions.
Yeah, Debo's just been such a disappointment this year.
Yeah, but in all honesty, I'm also not surprised when you miss most of training camp and most of building that rapport with not only Trey Lance and then Jimmy G comes back in. Like it made sense. I was like, you know what? That's fine. He'll be way better next year since he has the financial security with the new contract. But you know, I can shoulder it. I get Waddle as my wide receiver too. Not mad at that. I mean, that's what I was thinking in my
I'm staying away
trade.
from Waddle with that injury.
Yeah, Waddle. I stayed away this week as well, which stinks because he will be in my lineup depending on how everything goes.
You hate to see it.
Yeah, you hate to see it, but you know that's my gut feeling there. Largely because I also don't have another receiver. My second running back is Derrick Henry.
That is also my second running back.
Nice. Whenever Derrick Henry plays Jacksonville, you expect a long touchdown.
And for him to throw somebody.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And that's it.
Yeah, and I mean that's pretty much
that's literally it. Man, I do have a question. What did you think about the GM getting fired?
I don't know. I'm not really sure what to make of it. I think it's gotta come down to draft picks not hitting.
That and trades is how I felt too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were like making the joke of like, oh, for trading AJ Brown. And it's like, well,
That one's
I
the
don't
most
know.
embarrassing, but it's I feel like it's more than that. Which like because like think of Robert Woods hasn't really done anything this
Pre
year.
pre that it's like pre Vrabel, I
Yeah,
think.
and I'm trying to think like who else. Oh, the Julio Jones trade. That's another
Yeah,
big one that just
that
kind of fell off the
one.
face because
Yeah,
they gave up the second and the fourth for that. And then I mean, I think it's just unfortunate because it was just a small string of bad trades for a team that doesn't really trade much, and then it's
yeah.
just all over.
Draft capital not hitting, and
Yeah,
like the
Caleb
only
fought.
thing they had, the only thing they had going for them was Vrabel and the
Yeah,
stats.
because they had two straight first round. Well, there's one first rounder that didn't even last a season. Isaiah Wilson was the tackle or the guard
Yeah,
that was just not ready, and then Caleb Farley, who's been all right, also
he has
been
been
is
good. I do like Caleb
yeah.
Farley.
I really like it's just the injuries.
Yeah, which
And
they knew about, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, so why are you taking this guy at this position when you know what you're getting?
yeah. And that's unfortunately the big problem with that. Uh, and I think that's part of the reason is like, I mean, it worked with Jeffrey Simmons, but lightning rarely ever strikes twice.
Right.
All right. So on to receivers. Ethan, name your two receivers.
My two receivers, one Stephon Diggs against the Jets. I don't know why. I just got a feeling about that
Yeah,
matchup.
just you take wide receiver one if you feel like it.
Yeah, but
That makes complete sense.
the other one, Tyreek Hill against the Chargers defense. Because need I say more?
I've been thinking about that one.
And
I
you know it's going to be bad when I pick up Tyreek Hill because
yeah,
I hate that man. Well, I don't hate that man. I just don't like him in fantasy because I'm waiting for the
you're waiting for the shoe
for
to
it to
drop,
finally.
basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I
So
love Cheetah. Don't get me wrong. All right, let me rephrase that. I
yeah.
love
Rephrase that.
Cheetah. We are a Cheetah stan here. I've been a big fan my entire life. I just don't like him in fantasy.
That's fair because I'll give you a playoff anecdote. I traded for him last year in the ESPN league.
Yeah, how'd that go?
2 points. It was wonderful. That was
I can't.
pain.
Who did you lose to? It wasn't me
I think I lost to Tyler.
because
I
I
want to
beat
say,
because I beat Tyler. Oh yeah, it was first round then. Because I
yeah, it
think
was
I had
first round
a bye and then I beat
because
Tyler in
I
Ashley.
had so I was the third seed and like Tyler just like his team came firing on all cylinders and I was like, okay, I got Tyreek Hill. This is going to be great. I know he's just coming back from COVID, but you know what? We're
Yeah,
going to be okay. And that's when I learned, oh no, if they're coming back from COVID, let's
that's
yikes.
a whole different ball game.
Whole different ball
Yeah,
game.
dude, and Ryan likes to use that story because not that story, but the one after he was like, oh well, Ashley would it all because Kamara
It
had a
was
60-point game, and I was the one who knocked her out of the playoffs
well, you
when Kamara
also
had
so
that 60-point game.
you had you had Mike Evans, and it was for
I
some
had Mike
reason
Evans.
the Detroit coaching staff had
He
COVID.
scored like 50.
Yeah, he scored like 50, so it just negated it, and then the rest of the team did what they had to do.
Yeah, and then my
It was
entire team just outperformed.
yeah, yeah, and that's basically what happened there. But I think that was 2 years ago. Last year,
No, that was last year.
no, well, the Camara game was 2 years ago. The
What
Christmas
was it?
game.
Who was it that got 60 points? No, I'm talking about when he did it again because he did it on thanks. No, when was it?
No, he didn't do it
I can't
again. That's
remember. I can't
yeah, but
remember.
there's one person who, because I remember both Ashley and I were looking at the ESPN leagues because we both did terrible, and it's just like our whole team's hurt, and we kind of like unfortunately gave up after like 2-10. It was a struggle, but that's when it's like,
Yeah,
all right, keep going, you can
yeah.
make it in in the sleeper league,
Yeah.
and she almost did until she ran into Paul,
Paul. Yeah. Ran into the wall of Paul.
the wall of Paul wall.
The Paul wall.
Oh, that's over, dude. Next time he's on the podcast, I'm calling him Paul Wall.
The Paul wall.
The
Well,
Paul
last year
Wall.
he was the wall of Paul. Now he's the Paul wall.
Yeah, now he's the Paul Wall. Yep, that's true. So Ryan's two receivers, and he has one of one. We have one that's the same. He went with Devontae, and then he went with Sun God.
Ooh.
And I also went with Sun God, but I went Justin Jefferson as my first one.
I get Devontae against the Rams. JJ against Detroit makes sense too.
And then Sun God
Sun
against
God against Minnesota.
Minnesota, not Mississippi.
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 Ole Miss coming to play the Detroit Lions.
Good luck, Lane Kiffin on one. Why did I say Mississippi?
Listen, they got really drunk. They made a bet. It happens.
Oh, yeah. Lane Kiffin would do that.
But anyways,
look, Lane Kiffin,
if you want to come on and dispute it.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin in the Flaccoverse would have made it.
Not the Flaccoverse again. No one wants to live in the Flaccoverse.
No, dude,
that was the worst.
Dude, I got screwed by that because when they said Zach Wilson bench, I was like, okay, I think Flacco might be the starter. Nope, it ends up being Mike White. Would have been really nice to pick him up 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, last week he didn't do too hot, but
yeah, but then again, Lamar's out.
Yeah,
that's been like the crap, and that's why I was spiraling on the last podcast because I was just like, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeesh. Big yikes in the chat.
Yeah, that was a major yikes. So tight end. It should be the same answer every
week. We don't even need to talk.
Let's skip. Yeah, we already know.
All of the tight ends live in the Flaccoverse this year.
Yeah, for some reason, it's just so weird. Who are your flexes? Because I think we might have different answers here.
Yeah, I got Tony Pollard and DK.
Okay, yeah, that would do it. I'm gonna take one of yours and take one of Ryan's here. Mine are going to be DK and Jeff Wilson. And Ryan has DJ Dallas and Jeff Wilson.
I don't like DJ Dallas, but that's okay.
No, I don't either. And the only reason is the injury issue.
Yeah.
That's the only thing where I'm like, ooh, I don't know what's going to happen here. But
we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
Fantasy.
Yeah, and you'll find out on our news and injuries episode whether DJ Dallas is ready to go. Now, you and I have the same defense. I'll just start with Ryan then. Ryan chose the Raiders defense against the Rams.
The Raiders defense?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I guess
I get it
last week, but
I also did. I was about to say I did this song and dance last week with Seattle, and that didn't work out. As stupid Ryan with his stupid 40-point Cleveland Browns defense.
Well, I mean, you gotta think of it like trap games, you know?
Yeah.
I really think that the Raiders, because they had a good performance last week, are going to do it again this week, and it's like
no, but I'm also just not gonna. I can't take out McVay like that, even though he has everyone gone. Now we're really seeing like McVay tested, and so for me, I went with Dallas just because Houston has been dead in the water since week 1, and Dallas is here to establish literally that they're one of the best teams in the league, and I think that is a way more legitimate conversation. They killed Indy. Like, that was a massacre.
Yeah, it was not Moving on.
Yeah.
We won't talk about Indianapolis misfortune. There's no point in kicking it.
Yeah. Stop it. He's dead. He's dead already.
Dude, I feel like that's how everyone feels about Matt Ryan right now. Like,
Yeah, that I feel like Matt Ryan. Yeah, Matt Ryan for sure. And then
He's hanging it up. He has to. Like, I love Matt Ryan. I'm a huge Matt Ryan
I think
fan and
yeah,
supporter.
he has to.
He's got to.
Yeah.
Because, they always say, like, if you can, you should. And Matt
If
Ryan can't.
Matt Ryan for sure has thought about it. That is what I feel like. He's at least thought asked the question. And if you ask the question, you're done. And the thing is, regardless of whether he wants to or not, we're in a position to where the Colts, I think, might just say, no, we're done. We're done doing this.
Yeah, we're done with the QB carousel.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like Saturday, though. I hope they keep him.
I, I'm
Maybe
still
not as head
waiting.
coach, but I hope they keep him.
See that. So that's my issue with the whole Saturday thing. If you still want him around, you shouldn't have made him a head coach because it's hard for you to take that like demotion down. But that really depends on like who the next person is. But that's a whole lot of. We'll see what happens
Also,
because I have no
like
idea what the Colts do.
it's
Ooh, man, lost Ethan real quick.
think, for instance, if the conversation when they gave him the oh, am I back?
You are
Am I
back,
alive?
sir. Yep, you are alive.
Okay, sorry about that.
You're good.
Um, think about it like this though: if how they presented it to Saturday was, "Hey, you're an analyst for our team. You're a good leader. You have a lot of ties to this organization. We need you to just lead this team." Well, that's different. Now he's
That's true.
got a little
That
bit more
that's
experience.
with
They can give him like an O-line coaching job and then go from there.
yeah. That definitely at least creates the boundary of this is for 6 weeks. We just need you to get us to the finish line. Because I feel like
Yeah.
with at least when they fired Frank Wright, that I feel like that was them saying we're done. Like we're done even trying.
Oh, I'm
Which
sure they threw
unfor
their hands in the air.
yeah,
Like
which
actually, like not even
unfortunate
ironically.
which unfortunately I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm still kind of upset at the not like me personally, but how the whole Frank Wright situation went down because it was like I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have taken Matt Ryan out. So for someone to put Sam Ellinger in instead, well, that was like I was like, there's no way that Frank would do that. And then he gets fired based off that. It's just like, well, I think the time was up.
That kind of seemed like a setup. It was like
Yeah,
a mob
yeah,
hit.
yeah, it definitely was. And I also think this is where Chris Ballard's going to feel the heat too.
Yeah.
And he's on a short leash, honestly.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I mean, our coaching carousel, I mean, we already have the Panthers, we already have the Colts. I really want to see who's next because I personally think Arizona is going to be on that list. I think you can,
Cleveland.
yeah,
Oh, are you talking about for next year
for
or
next year,
this past year?
uh, for
Okay.
for next year. So you got
Atlanta.
Panthers, Colts. You think so?
Yeah. Well, I
Have
mean,
you
at least to Ritter is going to be at least like a small segue. It's like a baby
do
carousel
you do
for
you really
Atlanta.
think Arthur Smith would be done?
It just depends.
Because I feel like he was given 3 years. That to me, that's what it feels like.
Oh, sorry, we're talking. Sorry, we're talking
Coaches,
coaching carousel. Sorry, I thought
QB
you were talking
carousel,
QB carousel
QB if it's QB
because you brought
carousel,
up Carolina and then I was like, oh, okay, we're still talking about okay, head coaches.
yeah. Well, I mean, if we
I
want to
got
say,
lost.
I got you, I got you. I mean, we can do QB carousel real quick because I mean, we talked about Bryce Young, Stroud, Levis, Anthony Richardson, and
Yeah,
theoretically, we're talking about the Giants, the Panthers, the Colts.
Tampa.
The Tampa is a legit possibility. I don't think Arizona. I don't even think Seattle, for that matter. I think they might be out completely.
I think Seattle looks to the future.
I think they look towards 2024 because there's at
Oh,
least three quarterbacks in 2024 that are super nice so far. And then,
let's see here. Who else would be looking for QB? Jets.
yeah, Jets. there's the whole thing of talking about that like Zach Wilson will play sometime this season. I'm like, nah, that ship has sailed.
which is unfortunate. Like,
Yeah.
I think that was like more of a maturity thing than I need to bench this kid. Like, that's more of a let me sit down with my QB and explain to him what's wrong
Yeah.
and how he needs to hold himself because he's a leader on this team.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Not I'm
definitely
gonna bench my star QB that we invest all this in.
yeah. And that's why I feel like I mean they play with fire there, but I mean I feel like Solid could get that done. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there because it wasn't like, oh, you're second string now. It was no, you're inactive for this game. And so that's where I was like, that's a
Yeah.
bit interesting.
Well,
But I feel
and I
like
mean that's just say like he's never been your number one choice at head coach, or
true,
he shouldn't be.
but I think this is the true test of if Zach Wilson plays again this year. Is let's see how Mike White does against Buffalo, who just lost Von Miller.
He's about to get creamed.
Yeah, that one's going to be rough. So we're gonna go. Who is your waiver wire pickup this week? And oh,
Uh, uh waiver wire pickup John Wolford.
interesting, interesting. I like that pickup. Ryan's waiver wire pickup was DJ Dallas. Mine is actually going to be James Cook.
Okay. I'd be
Definitely.
surprised if James Cook is still available, but yeah,
Yeah. Well,
I
so there
definitely
a
get him.
lot of redraft leagues he's been available, but if it's keeper or if it's dynasty,
Okay.
he hasn't he's
He's
already
not.
on the roster. But I did that
Yeah.
specifically for redraft there. So before we go into bus sleeper lock, we're gonna pick our now or never players. And again, think of our Rashad Penny story from like 5 minutes ago or however long it was. This is a player, it's like it makes no sense to play him anytime this season except for this week. Who is going to be your now or never player that's going to take you into the playoffs?
So do you want me to start off with mine?
Yeah, let's start off with yours.
I'm going with K. Dotton.
I love that choice. I Ethan, well done, good sir. I love
Listen,
that choice.
K. Dotton has been very under the radar, getting a lot of targets from Tom Brady and building trust with him. And I think he's a few touchdowns away from being consistent in this tight end apocalypse.
Yep. I mean, literally last week went 6 for 28 and a touchdown. So that's about 14 points. You'll take that out of your tight ends at any time.
Yeah.
I really like that
I
pick. I
mean, when
think you're
tight
on to
ends are
something
averaging
there.
like 8 or 9 points, like, yeah.
If that, it's this year's felt like 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's got to matter DPJ for me.
So DPJ was on my list, but I went with another one because I think it's a little crazier, but I think it'll work. Mine is Zay Jones. I
Okay.
think I think with the foot injury Trevor Lawrence got during the last play against Detroit, I really do think that they'll do a lot more of the quick passing game, and that's going to open up Zay Jones rather than like Christian Kirk. So I definitely think Zay
Yeah.
Jones is. I'm putting him in my flex just to like, all right, I'm going to make the playoffs here, or I'm going to make this interesting for sure.
Yeah. And I do have one more.
Yeah, bring it up. I'm all ears here.
Zonovan Knight.
Zonovan Knight is also on my list too because
He
the
will get you into the playoffs.
Zonovan Knight will get you into the playoffs. I don't care what Michael Carter does. I think they're just going to roll with Zonovan Knight. Yeah, I'm trying to think like who else is in that category because I don't even want to say Huntley because I think you're most likely having Huntley
Mm.
out of necessity.
We thought that last year and we made a mistake.
Yeah. I think I feel like James Cook would also be in this category because you don't know between Singletary or James Cook, but if you want a deeper cut, I think the one to do is AJ Dillon.
Okay.
And that
Maybe
one,
Deshaun Watson too. I feel like could be in there.
Watson is interesting since his defense is good. But to me,
Gotcha.
AJ Dillon is also because you don't know if Aaron Jones is coming back or not, and I feel like you just kind of have to call your shot on AJ Dillon. And I think it's very possible he takes most of the workload. Except I just realized he's on the bye week, so it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Dang.
Well done. Well
Well,
done.
thank you. I will take another person from the NFC North though, and that's Swift.
Dude, yeah.
So
I
Ryan,
like Swift.
yeah. So okay. So how did you feel about Swift's last game against Jacksonville?
I think it provided a lot of optimism for people who were crying themselves to sleep about Swift.
Me included.
Because you see Jamal Williams with a down game.
Well, like the big thing for me is that it was 14 carries, and I went, "Whoa, that's a big number."
Right.
And that's when I went, "Okay, he really was hurt for what is it, 5 weeks, 6 weeks?" Well, no, it was like almost
For
eight
dude,
weeks,
forever.
forever. And that's where it's like if
Yeah,
you moved on
he
from
was hurt
Swift,
forever.
yeah, that was where it's like if you moved on from Swift, I don't blame you. If you held on, I think you're about to get rewarded pretty nicely because his schedule is Minnesota, Jets, Carolina,
Cake.
Chicago, week 17. And then if you're a sicko with a
Cake.
yeah, with a week 18 championship, Green Bay.
All of that is cake.
Yeah. The toughest one's the Jets. But if you can make it past the Jets, it's
But
like you said,
passing work will make up for that.
exactly. The only other issue is that it's at MetLife, the worst stadium in the history of sport. No, not in the history of sports, but it's pretty close.
It's up there. It's up
Yeah,
there.
it's up there.
It
But
definitely has the most ACLs, I'm sure.
oh yeah, absolutely. So that is our dream lineups. I think kind of similar, but I think this is pretty different. But that's just kind of how this
I feel
week
like the
is.
vast majority was pretty different.
Yeah, pretty different. I say, especially with quarterbacks, running back, obviously receivers as well.
Obviously not tight end.
Yeah, not tight end, and it shouldn't be. But we're gonna go into our favorite category here: bust, sleeper, lock. Ethan, who's your bust this week?
Oh, that's a tough one. Um, oh God. You gotta go first. I gotta think about
Okay,
this.
you rave. I don't think you're going to like this. I
Hmm.
have two. I honestly have two here. Kyler Murray and
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes.
Interesting.
So Kyler goes up against New England. I do think New England's defense, yes, they're a little slower, but if there's anyone to really throw Kyler for a loop, it's going to be Belichick. So I wouldn't expect a high scoring game at all.
Yeah.
So that one came to mind. Mahomes is going up against Denver, and for some reason, every single year,
He always, yeah.
Denver or the Chargers give him the weirdest. I didn't expect this to struggle this bad, but it's what happens. So I am going to
Yeah.
say Denver is going to be in that category for this week. It's at Denver as well. So I don't think he'll.
Yeah.
I think he may struggle to 20, but 20 might be my ceiling for him this week.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of torn. I think you made a good point about Kyler, but him and Daniel Jones against Philly.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm torn between those two.
That's a good one. Yeah, no, that one makes sense as well. I mean, we can even say Burrow, but Burrow's just playing insane right now to where I'm not going to bet against Burrow this week, even though he plays
Right.
Cleveland. All righty. So, Ethan, who's your sleeper?
All the ones I want to pick are too obvious. I think I'm gonna go with what they're doing, like how involved he is, and Cincinnati hasn't been the greatest against passing offense.
Okay, who'd you have again?
DPJ.
Oh, DPJ is I like that. I like that pick a lot. They honestly like. I mean, Amari Cooper was the main target. Obviously, Cincinnati will do what they can. I I think Cincinnati is going to be like, all right, DPJ, stop us. And I think DPJ will have at least a good amount of targets to get going.
Yeah.
So my sleeper, man, I kind of want to go shot in the dark as well, but I the dang sleeper's always been the toughest one because my first thought was Jeff Wilson, right? And I feel like that one was kind of like an easy answer. But if we want to take it a step further, I do think Xavier Howard, Byron Jones are probably going to be on the best receivers for which speaking of which, is Byron Jones even playing this week? That's the real question.
I don't believe he is.
I don't think he is either. I'll double check that on news and injuries. It's like this amendment, I was wrong. But regardless, Xavier Howard's going to be on either Keenan Allen. I am going to go with DeAndre Carter as my sleeper. We all expect Palmer to be the number 3, but for some reason, like DeAndre Carter's still kind of there here and there, and he's kind of been used as the shot play guy. Not like the
Right.
40, 50 yard, but like the 30-yard shot play. And I think if you attack the depth of Miami, I think DeAndre Carter can get open.
Fair enough.
And now for the fun one. Who's your lock?
The Dallas Cowboy run game.
Yep, that's mine too. Honestly, I was so
Pollard if
tempted.
you make me, but yeah.
I was so tempted to even put Zeke in the flex, to be honest with you.
I was really tempted as well.
Because I would like, would you say Zeke is a flex right now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on the same page there, and so that actually brings me to another question: is who do you think has regressed? Because when we do these dream lineups, we're like, just to kind of give a peek behind the curtain here. When ETN started becoming RB1, we're like, okay, you can't use ETN in your flex. And so we've always tried to keep it like as like apropos as much as we can. But I kind of want to throw the question back and actually reverse it. Who's actually lost a higher spot? Who went from a running back or wide receiver position, but is only a flex right now?
Zeke Monty,
Zeke and Monty are the first ones that came to mind.
Pittman,
Yeah, that one I was wondering where you were going to go with that one, but I would say Pittman for sure.
Debo,
Flex? You think he's down the flex
Mike
level?
Evans.
Dude, I think
Yes.
okay, Evans makes me the most sad
Yeah. He's supposed to
because
have a big year.
exactly like you and I were the ones like super excited. It's like, dude, it might just be Mike Evans with Tom Brady for 6 weeks. And nope. It
Psych.
yeah, psych. I would put Fournette in that category as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Him and Rashad White.
Gibson.
Yep, Gibson. Yep, that's for sure. Yeah, Gibson's definitely in flex category.
Singletary, if you think about it. coming off last year,
Yep, Singletary.
and Swift.
Yeah, Swift for sure because they're using them more as a timeshare now. Hmm.
I think
Trying to,
that's
yeah, I
really
think that's
all I
about
can
it.
think
That's
of.
all.
There's
Yeah, that's
probably a couple more, but
maybe Cordero would be another one.
yeah, probably.
Unfortunately, it was a great 2 year
Well, if
run
you're
though.
talking about starting to where he is now, it's like, I mean, it's like first 4 weeks he's RB1, and then now he's probably in your flex whenever he does play.
Yeah, and if you can get more than 10 carries out of him, if
Well, and he's still good. He's just old.
yeah, well, and like he's literally learning a new position 10 years into his career, and this is not like we're going to take you from corner to safety kind of transition. It's no, you're going to be a running.
Which is
Hey,
just so funny.
yeah, that's the irony of it all. But he's that freakish of an athlete to where it works.
Yeah.
And with that,
But with that,
I think that's an episode, my
week 14.
friend. Yeah, it is week 14. So for everyone listening, may the odds, and especially may the fantasy odds, ever be in your favor this week. This is the most.
Josh.
Why, Ethan?
Just because you deserve it. You just
What?
deserve it.
Why do I deserve it? I paid my dues.
I hope you choke so hard in the playoffs. I hope you're the new Ryan.
No, because I will never tank.
Well, yeah, I mean, not only did he lose in the most
I have
embarrassing
dignity.
fashion, he then followed that up by tanking like a jag muffin.
I will tell you, a Jag muffin might be. That's a new one. That is a new one.
I'm full of surprises.
You, when are you not? But yeah, so thank you again for everyone for listening to the Last Place Fantasy Football podcast. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe after you listen to the end of this thing. And also don't forget we are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. We are on all social media platforms, including YouTube now with handles, still weird to say, at Last Place FP. That is where you'll find us if you need any lineup help whatsoever. Don't be afraid to hit comment. We will try to answer as fast as we can. Ethan, it has been one. I want to personally thank you for going solo dolo on news and injuries last week. You saved my life. I'm
It's a pleasure.
Eternally grateful, but good to be actually talking to you for this episode.
Yeah.
Hit him with the quote. Yeah, I miss you too, man.
Oh yeah, I didn't do it last week.
I just want to let
trying to
you
get it done. I didn't
I just
have you.
I just want to let you know I still did it on Sunday. I still did it.
Glad. I'm glad.
Yeah, it's literally just what Ryan goes, "Are you kidding me?"
Because you can never forget it.
You can never forget it. Ever.
I'm still making my way through the episode. I listened to it when I'm driving around, so I haven't gotten to the end yet. But
no, unfortunately, it was a
forget.
doozy.
Sometimes you're right. Sometimes you're right, Josh. Sometimes you're Ryan.
And we will see everyone for news and injuries coming out in the next couple of days. And but for that, good luck, everybody.